How's your case of leather poisoning going, Laird?
It's nice to be getting a kick this time of year, so hopefully that can continue.
Did you expect to be sort of sitting on 120 odd disposals after 3 rounds?
No, definitely not. It's just, as I said, nice to sort of start the year off and find a bit of the ball out of the back half, and but more importantly, I think it's more important that we got the win on the weekend, and starting to get a bit of our form back after the first round hiccup.
Has anything changed for you to be so prolific last year? You did it at times last year, but I mean 3 out of 3 so far.
No, I think it's just sort of come naturally. I think the first couple of games it sort of opened up a bit for me, and I was able to get the ball in my hands a fair bit, and continued a little bit on the weekend. So no, nothing that I've sort of changed too dramatically. So as I said, hopefully keep flying the ball a little bit.
Are you preparing for other teams to finally wake up and say, this Laird fella gets a fair bit of the ball, we might need a bit more attention to him?
Sort of been discussed a little bit that maybe I can start getting someone come close to me. It happened a little bit in the Richmond game, but that's just footy, and some teams do it, some teams don't. So if it does happen, then I'll have to be ready for it.
How much of your defensive setup do you think flows through you? I mean, the way that the guys get the ball to you essentially is the backline quarterback.
Yeah, I thank them a fair bit. They give me the ball a fair bit, especially Tails and some of the bigger blokes that don't want to kick it as much. But it's more of a team D that we've got down there. It's not just revolved around me at all. I think we set up and work well off each other, and it shows that blokes like Tom Dode comes down there and fits straight in. So it's pretty much a team D for us.
How do you approach it though if teams start putting like a tagger on you or defensive forward?
I don't change too much. I still have to defend my man and make sure I beat him, and then once the ball gets back to our team, then I'll work and try and get involved in the offence. So nothing too much changes.
You say it's been discussed. Is that with the coaches that they're saying that a tag will go to you probably sooner rather than later? It's just a matter of I speak to the guys down there in the back half, and just in terms of our setups and our structures, if a forward sitting on me, then we can work around that and move him around, and then get our structures off that. So
have you had to deal with that much in the past?
What's that, sorry?
Have you had to deal with that much in the past?
No, definitely not. I'm usually the one that was doing the tagging back in the day. So but as I said, it hasn't happened too much. So as of yet.
Against Richmond, who sat on you briefly?
I had a little bit of race conquer just in the third quarter, and then that was it. So it wasn't really a tag at all.
Played 2 middling sides 2 weeks in a row, St Kilda and now Collingwood. How do you read their form this year?
Collingwood or Saints? Well, I had a really strong win on the weekend. Carlton came out pretty hot, and they turned around and kicked 10 in a row, whatever they did. So it's shown across the competition at the moment as well that if you're off your game a little bit, then it's very even playing field, and any team can get you. So Collingwood's really solid side, and we have to be on our best foot.
You've had a lot of players who've had injury interrupted pre-season or start to the seasons. Are they slowly getting their kilometres in their legs?
Yeah, well, it showed, in the first couple of rounds, Huey Greenwood came off a limited pre-season. Cam Ellis-Yellman came off a long-term injury. So we've got blokes that have sort of come in and, played their roles really well and are performing at a high level. So, as you said, we've sort of been hit with a few injuries, but the guys that have come in are playing really well.
2 out of your first 3 games at Etihad Stadium. Has it been brutal on the body?
I'm pretty sore, mate. I think a few of the other blokes are too. The first game is always tough no matter where you play, but Etihad's renowned for being a bit harder on the deck, and on the weekend there's a few sore bodies, but we're pretty tight with our recovery, and we'll make sure we're ready to go Friday night.
So with a short week, is it just purely maintenance and recovery this week?
No, we'll have a main session that will sort of get us going, and got a bit of run around today. But the main session is more for us to practice the way we want to play and get some high intensity stuff going. And so we do have a big emphasis on recovery early in the week. But then once we get going, we train pretty hard.
You're probably unchanged this week, aren't you, Lee? When you think about it, I mean, no one's really injured. Maybe Curtly Hampton half a chance, but do you see any changes on the horizon?
No, as you said, there's a few boys that came back in. Rory Laird played his first game. Curtly Hampton came back from a short-term injury. So, hopefully no one pulls up too sore, and we can go in unchanged. But it's always good to have guys fighting for pressure underneath.
How do you rate Collingwood?
As I said before, a really solid side. Come off a solid win, and the competition's really even at the moment. So, as I said, we have to be playing at our best.
And Friday night footy, bright lights, obviously. Even more expectation.
Yeah, you know what happens when we get big games and on especially Friday and Thursday nights with our crowds. You know, it's a packed house, and you know, our fans are awesome and they fill it out to the full capacity. So it's always nice playing you know, on those kind of games.
It's Daniel Tarley's 150th on Friday night. He's been a bit of a worry for this club last well since he's been here, hasn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't miss too many. He, you know, prides himself on that in his recovery and his diligence in his body, and it shows. You know, he's been a super consistent player. You know, rising star, two-time All-Australian, best and fairest. Accolade goes on for such a young player. I've learned a lot off him too, off the field. You know, in terms of you know, the recovery process, and pretty good mates with him too. So no, he's a fantastic player and a real leader for us down there. So you know, I can't wait to run out with him.
2-1 record with a lot of injuries that you've had. How do you feel like the club is placed?
I think we're in a really good spot. As you said, we've had a few injuries to start the year off, but there's a lot of guys that have come in, and as I said before, that have played their role really well, and it just shows, you know, when they come in and play, and we have a team performance like that on the weekend, and especially against Richmond too. Then you know, we play some really good footy and a really exciting brand of footy. So I think we're in a great position, and we've got to keep it rolling this week.
Don happy after the game?
Yeah, as it wasn't a super pretty game, but it was a real grit and grindy game. We didn't probably play the way we wanted to in the first half. A little bit flat and a little bit sloppy with some of the stuff we were doing, a lot of turnovers. But then in the third quarter especially, I think we sort of put the foot down and revolved around contested footy and getting it into our forward line, because there's a fair few handy players up there that, you know, if you get it in there, they make things happen. So I think, you know, the second half especially was really pleasing.
What about winning ugly, Laird? Do you guys care about winning ugly? Does it do a bit more for you that you're able to grind one out rather than play as free-flowing as you are?
I think it gives us a lot of confidence in a team, as a team I should say. You know, we're not always going to get that free-flowing footy that we like to play. So on the weekend was a perfect example. You know, we came in at half-time and probably wasn't going as well as we wanted to, and then you know, we came out and we stuck to our guns and you know, turned around the third quarter and the fourth quarter and sort of put them away. So 4 points is 4 points, and you know, every win's really important.
You might get a similar sort of encounter with Collingwood. I mean, they're probably not the most skillful side, and you blokes are clearly a cut above. So how do you go about making sure that you can execute from ball one if they try and lock you down like the Saints did?
Yeah, I think you know, we can look back to last week as a perfect example. You know, if it's not going our way, we can still go to some of our strengths, which is definitely, you know, the players around the contested ball. You know, you've got Gibber and Sliney and all our mid like Huey and Cam as well. They can start us off, and then if we have to play like we did last week, then, you know, so be it. Every game's going to be different, so we'll be adjusted to that.
And just going back to your form, is there any one reason as to why you've just had so much of the footy? Is it too simple to say no Brodie Smith, so you're just running right?
No, as I said before, I sort of, you know, I've had a full pre-season. I'm, you know, feeling fit and covering the ground well, but I haven't changed too much really. It's just a matter of me actually, you know, getting my hands on it. So I can't actually put my finger on anything. No.
How is your old mate Brodie?
No, he's going really well. Try and keep up to date with him when he's out there. He came in for a drill the other day, and you know, an actual kicking drill, so he's not just running around, and he's moving pretty well actually. So we sort of give him a bit of stick, and he actually didn't miss a kick that session. So let me tell you, he told me about that too. So no, he's going really well. I think he's staying pretty positive. So I'm sure it's hard for him now that the games have started, but you know, from speaking to him, you know, pretty much every day, that, you know, he's going pretty well.
Could you see him this year?
Well, if he keeps going the way he is, then, you know, fingers crossed. But I know there's a lot of bridges that he knows he has to get across, and there's a big step from going to training to actually, you know, a full capacity of a game. So I think he's been really diligent with his recovery process, and you know, fingers crossed he can.
How big a threat is Brodie Grundy? He's been in great form.
Yeah, you know, one of the best ruckman in the competition really, at ground level and in the air. So I dare say our ruckman's going pretty well as well. So I dare say it'll be a good battle on the ruck.